Nazuna Nanakusa is a carefree vampire by birth who was raised by Kabura Honda before attending Kojo High School, where she met and befriended Kyuko Majiro. When she decided to live a life with her own presence, Nazuna met Ko Yamori, a high school student wandering the night in Komori whose blood tasted surprisingly delicious. In exchange for spending time with Ko every night and drinking his blood, Ko intended to fall in love with Nazuna to become a vampire himself, a subject that made Nazuna uncomfortable. As time passed, Nazuna's relationship with Ko became more intimate, and she wished to protect his life. However, when the two came into conflict with Nazuna's vengeful first friend, Kyuko, she decided to take responsibility and confront her for the sake of the vampire race. At the climax of the fight, Nazuna refused to murder Kyuko, and after the latter's suicide attempt resulted in Ko's half-vampire self emerging, the two finally reconciled. While investigating Ko's new, strong, manic physiology with Kyuko's help, Ko had a fight with Mahiro Seiki, so Nazuna, along with a host of new friends, decided to support him and travel to Hokkaido to help Ko and Mahiro make peace. Unfortunately, the events that occurred in Hokkaido put Nazuna and Ko's relationship to the test. Nazuna is a woman of moderate stature, barely exceeding the height of a teenager. Her build is slender and diminutive, with a discreet bust and long, slender arms, barely suggesting her astonishing vampiric strength. Her hair exhibits a pale, almost grayish-violet hue. It reaches halfway down her back, but she wears it braided in two long braids that she then twists and pins to the rest of her mane, forming two large rings. A fringe almost completely covers her eyebrows, and two medium-sized locks fall from the top of her head, framing her face and ending just above her lips. Her eyes are a deep, piercing blue. Instead of the typical iris and pupil structure, they have an almost lens-like appearance with black rings alternating with sections of iris, tapering in size toward the center until they reach the pupil. This feature gives him a piercing gaze that can be unsettling or intriguing depending on how he directs it at someone. She usually wears light red eyeshadow. Nazuna usually wears a baggy garment that resembles a fusion between a cape and a hooded jacket. This loose-fitting garment covers most of her body, reaching to the middle of her calves and leaving only her hands uncovered. Under this large cape, his attire consists of a pair of black denim shorts that reach to the top of his thighs and a short black sleeveless leather t-shirt. Unlike the usual t-shirts, his has a higher collar that covers much of his neck and a cutout in the back that shows off his shoulder blades. It is also quite short, ending just below his chest and leaving a wide section of his abdomen and back uncovered. He completes his distinctive appearance with a pair of thigh-high leather boots and, occasionally, leather gloves. Like most vampires, she attracts attention with her beauty at a pool party. Nazuna is a rather serene individual. She does not exhibit excessive friendliness, but her presence conveys a sense of calm in most situations. She is willing to engage in conversation with almost anyone and tends to maintain cordial relations with most. There are exceptions, however, such as Nico Hirata and his group, whom she finds particularly irritating and with whom she has no interest in forming good relations at the moment. Nazuna tends to be rather insensitive and sometimes blurts out nasty remarks or insults without realizing it, although she sometimes regrets it later. She does not hesitate to threaten to kill others or suggest the possibility of killing someone, but finds it impossible to kill people with whom she has or has had a close relationship. If another vampire shows interest in her prey, Nazuna becomes extremely restless and possessive. Nazuna relates well to those who enjoy the nightlife and loves to introduce them to the new experiences the city offers in the dark. She is unfamiliar with modern technology, owns retro game consoles, lacks a smartphone, and uses an old brick-shaped cell phone. For this reason, she gets very excited at the prospect of discovering something new, even if it is something as simple as a walkie-talkie. Despite appearing to be an expert in nightlife and enjoying it, Nazuna spends most of her time drinking alcohol and playing video games, leading a seemingly boring life. Although she does not openly proclaim her status as a vampire, she is more outspoken about it than one might expect. Whenever someone begins to suspect, she herself takes it upon herself to confirm it. Nazuna feeds mainly on insomniacs, helping them fall asleep before feeding on them. Unlike other vampires, she initially shows no interest in turning others into minions and, in fact, actively tries to remain unpopular. He is very concerned about not being a bad person and, at one point, considers leading Ko because he feels guilty for pretending to be someone he is not. Her lewd and inconsiderate personality aside, Nazuna is a true expert in her field and possesses extensive knowledge about the art of massage and human anatomy. However, this does not mean that she acts like a professional in her work. When Kayasumi Shirakawa unexpectedly arrives at her her door, she forces the inexperienced Ko to step in instead, claiming to be tired from having given a massage earlier. At Ko's hesitation, Nazuna tempts him with a promise to allow him to touch Kayasumi's attractive body. When Ko is still reluctant, Nazuna guilts him by reminding him that she has given up work for a month to spend time with him, and then tempts him further by offering him half her salary and another kiss. Nazuna is often described as immature, showing less maturity than a high school student. She is extremely outspoken about sexual topics, has no qualms about discussing them, and enjoys making double entendre jokes. However, she shows a strong aversion to romance and is deeply embarrassed at the mention of the word love in a romantic context. 10 years before the story began, Nazuna was very different from the person Ko knew. She was somber, naive, lacked common knowledge, and was quick to accept any information provided to her, as if she were a child. Nazuna's only source of blood was people she encountered in public, such as homeless or drunk people. Her first friend, and attempted subordinate, Anko Agisu, whose real name is Kyuko Majiro, played a key role in shaping the personality she would later develop. Nazuna undergoes remarkable changes and growth throughout the story, becoming more serious, mature, responsible, and sociable. Unlike when she gets angry, Nazuna often shows a slight smile when she feels sad or melancholic. She is a person who tends to know more than she lets on and does not like to share her personal secrets, as she shows by hiding her past friendship with Kyuko Majiro, not only from Ko, but also from her fellow vampires, until circumstances force her to reveal it. Ko Iemori. Initially, Nazuna was exclusively interested in Ko's body, his blood, considering it extraordinarily delicious, and felt embarrassed whenever Ko mentioned anything about romantic love. Their initial agreement was that Nazuna would feed on Ko's blood, while Ko could fall in love if he so desired. Nazuna would show Ko how to enjoy the nightlife while pretending that his life was more exciting than it really was, something that generated feelings of guilt. Together, they participated in various activities, some initiated by Nazuna, and enjoyed the time they spent together. Their relationship tended to feel more like a friendship than a traditional romantic couple. As time passed, she began to take their relationship more seriously, developing a greater attachment to Ko, becoming more sincere and intimate with him, and showing herself protective, even going so far as to threaten to kill someone if they threatened Ko first, proving herself willing to risk her own life for him. Although Nazuna's adventures with Ko were often awkward, they were ultimately fun and helped her forget her monotonous existence. She decided to put more effort into their relationship and take it seriously from then on. Although she didn't care about Ko being with human girls or having sex with them, Nazuna became possessive if he seemed to be intimate with another vampire, and she became very upset when he told her that Akin had sucked her blood, even if it had been an emergency. Nazuna came to trust Ko to the point of screaming for help when Kiku Hashimi tortured her. She began to fall in love with him, which posed a problem because it seemed that a vampire in love began to turn human and his aging matched that of the person whose blood he had drunk, while the human whose blood was sucked ran the risk of dying. After returning from Hokkaido, these worries increased even more because of what happened to Kiku and Mahiru. Nazuna left Ko alone while mourning Mahiru's death, not knowing if she wanted to see him again. When Ko approached him, Nazuna realized that she had feelings for him and therefore refused his offer to drink his blood. Later, she confessed to Hatsuka that she was in love with him. Initially, Nazuna wanted to keep things with Ko as they were because of their friendship, although Hatsuka reminded her that she would eventually have to tell Ko the truth. In addition to Hatsuka, Nazuna also confessed to Anko, but she didn't want anyone else to know. She just said she needed a new source of blood. Hanging out with him brought her joy, and she became jealous when she saw him spending time with Saki, who had fallen in love with him. After spending the winter vacations together, Nazuna nearly lost control when Ko fell asleep, leading her to realize that she had to cut ties with him, though she did not explain why. When Ko approached her, she told him she didn't want to talk, though Ko didn't budge and brought her a can of beer to loosen her lips. Nazuna responded by teasing him, saying that one can of beer was not enough for someone like her. After drinking cans of beer from a vending machine and remaining sober, Nazuna tried to argue that she and Ko were just platonic friends and that he wouldn't fall in love with her even if they stayed together, encouraging him to lead a normal life now that he was getting comfortable at school. Ko asked him why he refused to suck her blood and demanded that he do it right then and there, saying that he might have fallen in love with her. Their argument became increasingly heated until Nazuna involuntarily confessed her feelings and their neighborhood was hit with a power outage. After regaining her composure, Nazuna purposely confessed and they decided to take a walk around town. Although their friendship did not change for the most part, Nazuna and Ko could barely put two fingers together when they used to hold hands casually. To Nazuna, it became increasingly clear that they could not stay together, at least not until she was no longer in love. She feared not so much for her own life, but for Ko's safety. After Ko pierced her ear as a reminder of him, Nazuna explained that they would not be able to see each other anymore for some time, but she would like the two of them to meet someday as friends. Although they planned to separate when a train arrived, they found it difficult to let go, which led them to enter the train together. Nazuna gave Ko one last kiss before abruptly jumping off the train and disappearing. Several years later, Nazuna's feelings for Ko still hadn't faded, and it was painful for her to endure, though she was determined to go through with her plan. To her dismay, Ko had tracked her down with the intention of finding her. She did not want him to be near her, as his mere presence might make her lose control. It turned out that Nazuna was right when Ko got too close, and she reacted violently, leaping at him to suck his blood in a feral state. Ko, even with his vampiric powers, managed to subdue Nazuna and bring her back to lucidity. He then explained to her that he would seek her out and find her whenever she tried to run away. Nazuna then asked him more questions about what he had been doing. They lay in the snow, and Nazuna suggested they play ball forever. When the local children asked who Ko was, Nazuna confirmed that he was the man she loved. Nazuna met Anko, Kyuko Majiro at the time, when she entered the literature room at her school. They would read books on Kyuko's recommendation and share their love for the detective genre. They quickly became friends, and Nazuna was emotionally and physically affectionate, hugging Kyuko when she cried for her family and even offering to make her first subordinate, even though she had never wanted subordinates before. After Kyuko's family was destroyed, Nazuna tried to get close to her, but Kyuko disappeared to become a vampire hunter. When Nazuna first heard about the vampire hunter detective, she thought of Kyuko, now called Anko Ogisu, as a possibility, but she didn't want to believe that her first friend had devoted 10 years of her life solely to hatred and murder, and part of her hope that she would somehow find happiness. When they met on Halloween, Nazuna tried to talk peacefully with Anko but had to defend herself against her attacks. After Anko announced that she would kill Ko, Nazuna threatened to kill her, but still held back and felt relief when she saw that Anko was unharmed after jumping from the 3rd floor of her old school. Anko pretended to have invited Ko to her location in order to kill him. Nazuna noticed that Anko's behavior was strange, deducing that she didn't really want to kill him. However, Anko assured Nazuna that she would kill Ko, which prompted Nazuna to become very aggressive in combat. Even though Anko was helpless, Nazuna begged her to stop and began to cry because she did not want to kill her first friend. When Ko arrived, Nazuna felt she had no choice but to kill Anko, who targeted Ko soon after. After Ko revealed that Anko was trying to provoke her to kill her, Nazuna stopped and began to sob. Although the situation was eventually resolved without casualties, Nazuna regretted not being emotionally capable of killing Anko despite having threatened Ko's life. They eventually reconciled, and although the awkwardness persisted, Nazuna was only too happy to reunite with her former friend, insisting that they drink beer together. Nazuna also assured Anko that, although her family was made up of amoral people, her father really loved her. Their friendship and banter returned to the dynamic they had when they were still in school. After his return from Hokkaido, Anko overheard Nazuna talking to Ko, and he refused to hang out because he was busy with schoolwork. Anko suspected that Ko was having an affair with a girl in his class and suggested spying on him. Nazuna refused at first, but relented after Anko reminded her how they spied on her father back then. After seeing that Ko had just helped his classmates study, they sat in the same restaurant as the students. Anko revealed that she knew Nazuna was looking for a new source of blood and asked why. Nazuna tried to trick Anko and instantly failed. They walked away to talk privately, and Nazuna later admitted that she was in love. Anko reminded Nazuna that she had previously told her to leave Ko alone. She said that, although she never fell in love, she understood what it was like to not be able to become a vampire and how, perhaps, she might have eventually succeeded if Nazuna had continued to suck her blood in the past. Nazuna then kissed Anko as she monologued. She was amused by Anko's angry reaction, but thanked her for taking care of Ko and announced that she would soon cut ties with him. Honda Kabura. Nazuna is very upset with Kabura in a way that a daughter of her mother would be. She was raised by Kabura and was initially very clingy to her, according to Nico Hirata, but she can't remember those moments because she didn't suck enough blood to form memories. Nazuna gets goosebumps and feels nervous when she sees Kabura and thinks Kabura is arrogant. Her feelings for her remain more or less the same, and although she finds her disgusting, Nazuna recognizes that Kabura was really trying to be her mother. Vampiric abilities. As a vampire, Nazuna can levitate, pass through objects, has superhuman strength, and can regenerate wounds much faster. Her body is also much more durable and cannot die by sheer violence, no matter how hard someone tries. Like some characters in Call of the Night, Nazuna resembles a character from Kotoyama's previous work, Dagashi Kashi. Specifically, she resembles the heroine of Dagashi Kashi, Hataru Shirder. After meeting Ko, she stopped working for a month to spend time with him. Nazuna found working at Midori's cleaning cafe exhausting, but changed her mind because of the salary and the beer she drank after work. Nazuna has been the same size since early childhood. Nazuna's eye color is somewhat inconsistent with Kotoyama's colorations. Sometimes she is drawn with her typical blue eyes, sometimes with brownish-gray eyes, and, on rare occasions, with yellow eyes. Despite the vampire's superior health, Nazuna is anemic. Nazuna is the only known vampire to be born as such. Like many other Komori vampires, she is named after one of the 7 spring herbs, shepherd's purse or Nazuna. Appropriately, his mother's name, Haru Nanakusa, is a reference to Haru no Nanakusa, the Japanese name for the 7 herbs of spring. I hope you liked the video. If you want me to bring a video about your anime character, comment it. Do not forget to check the channel videos. See you in the next video.